And this is Matt Mueller with Comicbook.com. Of course, we have the entire Power Rangers team with us today. Marguerite Bennett, the new writer of MMPR. Kyle Higgins, writer of Shattered Grid and MMPR. And of course, Ryan Parrott with Go-Go Power Rangers. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah. Aside from the broken part of you. Yeah.
That's what happens when you work on Shattered Grid. It breaks you as a person.
Understand. And you've broken a few hearts, people reading it too.
Good. So. That makes it all the work. No.
So we're gonna start with, because of course 29 has already come out and 11 has already come out, and both of those have some big things. So we'll go with Go-Go number 11 first. Of course, it reveals that the Ranger Slayer has actually been under a spell by Draken, and so that was a pretty big moment. How do you feel? Kind of what was behind the decision to do that, and kind of echo, that Tommy from the original series kind of line?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then what's the reaction bit?
The reaction's been pretty positive, I think, for the most part. Tepid. But yeah, no.
Really?
Yeah, a little. We've got a little bit of. There was a lot of build-up in this reveal of revealing who she is and why she went the direction she went. But from the very beginning, we always felt if we wanted to stay true to Kimberly as the character, that there was no version where she was going to willingly side with someone who had murdered her friends and destroyed her town. So the only way to do that would have been to sort of put her under spell and take away her agency. What I liked about that was like what you said, it sort of harkens back to the original Green with Evil. I thought when that spell's broken, it lets you see the real Kimberly, and we get to see her confront the person that sort of took her power away and see how she'll be a part of the event going forward. So I liked that. I liked that version, and that's the version it's the only version that actually made sense to me.
Yeah.
So if anybody was disappointed with that, I feel like we have to stay true to the characters, even if it feels like we're paying homage, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only there were a story coming up where she's going to factor in and have to deal with the ramifications, both emotionally and logistically, of what being under a spell like that looks like. I mean, if only there was a story coming up where that was part of the emotional crux of it. But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You really couldn't have segued better into my next question. Are you sure you didn't see these questions beforehand?
No, it's day 3 or 500, I can't tell, of San Diego. I should be on painkillers, but I'm not. And
we're all the better for it.
And I finished writing Power Rangers, so I'm like, I turned to my last pages and I'm like, yeah.
Oh my God.
Did I tell you that? No, I'm done. Yeah,
wow.
I'm done. I mean, I'm
out.
sure there'll be notes, but I will. I will. No.
Well, and that brings us to, because I was actually going to go somewhere else, but he set it up so well. So I'm going to go with this one.
It's fine. Gloss over me. It's fine. Go ahead.
Marguerite, that news of Beyond the Grid, that new team of Rangers, that made a big splash. How have you felt about the reception amongst fans of because there's a lot of change coming in the series, but how have you felt overall?
I'm not on social media. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I have no idea.
She's the strongest of us all.
No, I mean, I love it. I've been working very closely with Saban. They've been so, encouraging and receptive. And so, from the people who brought Power Rangers to the world and have been the guardians over this story for 25 years, I have their blessing, and so that means a lot to me.
Are you excited about the stuff that's coming from Go-Go? Because of all
absolutely.
that setting, that's like setting the table.
Oh no, I am standing on the shoulders of giants. They have given me so many magnificent toys in that toy box to play with.
So okay, Kyle. We're gonna get to there's a big thing we can't not talk about, which is 29 is the splash page to end all splash pages. That has gotten a huge reaction, and there's so many Rangers in it that everybody has oh my God, Hyperforce and Beast Morphers, and there's so many. What has the reaction been to that? Have you been pleased with it? Also, what was the most difficult part about creating that scene?
Well, look, the low-hanging fruit is you bring in a bunch of other Rangers and there are going to be people that really like and respond to that, but that's a cop-out to me, story-wise. That's a beat you play, but to me what's more interesting is the lead up to that beat. How do you bring them in, right? I actually went in the script and carved out page real estate dedicated purely to just that double page spread of them coming in like a meteor shower in the night sky. I wanted something that was as beautiful and hopeful and optimistic as what their arrival is supposed to bring forth as we go into the third act of the story. It's not to say it's going to go smooth, but yeah, to me, like the fact that it's a splash of all these Rangers is like, it's cool, but like that's a pinup shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what makes it a story are the pages before that and the pages after where our Rangers react to it.
Yeah.
That's the moment. So that's what I'm more interested in, just as I guess a storyteller, than just like who's on that splash page.
Yeah.
And you achieved that so beautifully. I mean, there's such
That's
a sense
Daniele.
of like,
Yeah.
wonder and
Micah.
splendor
Yeah.
of watching this happen, watching the colors going faster and faster. It's really lovely.
Yeah, it was like that was one of those times in the script where I could see it. I knew, like, if I were shooting it in live action, like I knew exactly how to do it, and I could hear the score, like I know what that should be, and I got on like Facebook Messenger with Daniele, and I was like, take a look at this, like what do you think? And I think I even described it with inset panels of reaction shots from our Rangers, and he said, you know what, I think I can do it without it. I think I've got it. And he sent back a little like 2-inch like thumbnail that he did on the spot, and where he put the camera and everything, it's like you could tell immediately, like, oh, this is going to be really, really special. And then Walter just absolutely murdered it with the colors.
It's a beautiful splash. But yeah, you're right.
It's my desktop wallpaper now.
That is the best thing about comics, is when you come up with an idea or you're like, I think this could work, and you give it to the artist and you're like, I think, and then they give it back to you. It's the best part of the entire process. Like you get the email of like the art and you go, oh, that's 10 times. I don't have to write anything. Like sometimes I've taken dialogue out because it's like, they got it. I don't have to do anything. I can do less work.
I mean, Dan Mora and that Draken Ranger Slayer scene, like that was my
Oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that yet anywhere.
Yeah, we wrote that together actually. We knew we wanted to do that from the beginning, of figuring out a way to cross over the books in a more direct way. And so we actually wrote I was in New Orleans. He was literally calling me. I was in the French Quarter, and I was like, oh hey, we worked on it over the phone, and then we threw it back and forth, and so the same scenes are.
I did kind of a similar gag when I was on Nightwing with Snyder on Batman, and it was the Court of Owls reveal of like Dick Grayson was meant to be a Talon, but the difference was Scott, being Scott, can do whatever he wants. And so that scene turned into like a 9-page scene. And my editor said, no fucking way are you doing 9 pages on this. So I had to cut it down to like 3 and find like clever ways to come in and out of the conversation. But we wanted to do it like the same conversation from 2 different perspectives. And like I used Dick's narration to give kind of a counterpoint perspective to what you see in Batman. And the artist got it pretty close to match. This time, Ryan and I wanted to do it like legit straight up, the same thing, same page real estate.
Yeah.
So we carved it out in both our books, and then we wrote it, and then I added the little alternate perspective from Finster.
Yeah.
But then the coolest part is that Daniele did the layouts, and then Dan Mora drew the scene from Daniele's layouts from slightly different camera angles. Yeah. And it's a really fun, like, and we didn't like promote that. It's just like a cool Easter egg. Like, you see it in Go-Go, it plays great in Go-Go, then you see it again in Mighty Morphin, and it's recontextualized by Draken's reaction that, oh shoot, maybe she could affect things. And
I did like that part actually, because there's not like you have to move to another beat for Ranger Slayer and Go-Go because there's other things to set up. Right. But in that one, yeah, you had a chance to kind of see. You felt like, oh, she could really matter. Like, she could play into. You left with Go-Go, like...
Yeah, well, he was it makes you realize Dragon's kind of posturing a little bit. He's like, you can do nothing. Yeah. Shh, we gotta hurry. I really thought that was
she's back, and she's back before the break point, Yeah. So, like, could things be affected from before the break point, that, like, we don't know. Like, we have to keep reading.
Yeah, well, I cannot wait to see how this plays out, and
the funny thing about Shattered Grid is like, I have seen this week, like just on social media, because I'm not as strong as you, that everyone's like, can't wait for the finale issue. It's like, no, we have issue 30.
I saw that somewhere.
We have a double-sized finale one-shot.
Like that, it was like, this is the second to last issue.
We have 3 issues worth of material coming, and it gets bonkers.